it's Phoebe here from Little Grey Box with Matt behind the camera. And on this channel, we share with you all our experiences and tips to help you travel well. And in today's episode, we're sharing everything you need to know to plan a trip to New Zealand's beautiful South Island. Now, while we may not be able to travel just yet, now is the perfect time to dream and plan for when the world opens up again. Fingers crossed we see an Australia and New Zealand travel bubble soon, because I am so keen to get back over there ASAP. Now, you guys, if you don't already, be sure to subscribe right now so you never miss a single episode. Our video this week is generously sponsored by the guys at Southern Cross Travel Insurance. So both Matt and I just want to say a huge thank you to them for supporting us through their sponsorship, especially at this time. We really appreciate it. Now let's dive right in. When it comes to traveling to New Zealand's South Island, you're going to want to fly into either Christchurch or Queenstown. Now, every time Matt and I have visited, we've opted to take advantage of cheaper sail airfares and fly into Christchurch. Coming from Brisbane, it is a super quick 3.5-hour flight time, so we are there in the blink of an eye. When we arrive, we usually hire a vehicle, which means we're able to add a bit of a road trip element to our trip, which we love. It gives us so much more freedom, we're able to see and do more, and we get to stop at some of our favorite little towns and scenic spots along the way. We've experienced the South Island in a few different ways, from budget-friendly to all-out luxury. Either way, having your own vehicle is a really great way to get around. It's going to give you that freedom that you really need to make the most of New Zealand's South Island. Before you rent a vehicle, it is well worth checking your travel insurance policy, as the excess may already be covered. If you don't have cover for rental car excess and your car is involved in an accident, is damaged or stolen, you may have to pay the cost of the rental car excess yourself, which can cost you thousands of dollars. Our policy with Southern Cross Travel Insurance covers us for up to $5,000 for the excess, so we wouldn't have to foot the bill if we had an accident. For our budget-friendly road trip, we hired a Maui Platinum River motorhome from the guys at Motorhome Republic, and we loved it. It was so much fun. Now, we were traveling as a group of 3, so we opted for a 6-berth motorhome, and it was fantastic and so spacious, decked out with absolutely everything that we needed. Here's a breakdown of the costs of our 10-night adventure for 3 people. Now, you guys, these costs do not include flights or activities. Our motorhome rental was around $1,600 for the whole time, and our additional motorhome expenses like fuel and taxes were around $720. Our stays at holiday parks came to around $670, and food was $1,030. This was a total of around $4,000, 10 nights for 3 people. For our other trips, we usually hire a car for the whole time and tend to stay in mid-range to luxury accommodations. So here's a look at our costs for 10 nights in the South Island for 2 people, not including flights or activities. Our car rental costs usually come out to around $300, with additional expenses like fuel and such coming to around $300. Now, for hotels, the average price for a decent place is going to be around $200 to $300 per night. So for a 10-night stay, you could probably expect to pay around $2,000 to $3,000. And food for us comes to around $1,500 for the whole time, meaning you're looking at around $5,000 for 2 people for 10 nights. To give you an idea of the costs of flights and activities, for our last trip, we spent around $1,300 per person across the 10 days for our activities, and our flights in and out of Christchurch were $1,200 return for the 2 of us. When it comes to planning your itinerary, there is an abundance of beautiful spots and gorgeous little towns that you're going to want to visit. But here's a look at our most recent itinerary. We flew into Christchurch, then drove to Twizel. From Twizel, we headed to Wanaka, where we spent 2 nights. Then we headed down to Queenstown for another 2 nights before driving all the way down to Milford Sound for 1 night. We then headed back to Queenstown for another 2 nights before making our way back north, stopping in at Lake Tekapo for a night, and Christchurch for 1 final night before we flew back home. Now, I absolutely loved our itinerary and all the places that we visited, but if I could have my time again, I definitely would have added just a few extra days to our trip so we could have spent a little bit longer exploring Milford Sound and a little bit longer in Wanaka, which is probably my favorite place in the South Island. But if there's is one thing I am really glad we did on our last trip is that we made the time to visit the Fiordlands and Milford Sound. It was so beautiful out there, and I know a lot of people try to do it as a day trip, but honestly, if you want to take your time, stop and visit all those beautiful spots and spend 1 or 2 nights out there, it is really worth it. Now here are some things you really need to know before you go. Firstly, the snow season runs from around June to September, and if you are planning on visiting in winter and really want to visit the snowfields, I highly recommend trying to time your visit around those New Zealand school holiday times. It's going to mean less crowds and more snow for you. When driving, make sure you allow a little more time than your maps or your GPS tells you, because you are definitely going to want to stop along the way to take some photos and just soak in some of that beautiful scenery. Now, Freedom Camping and Campable, which is kind of like Airbnb for motorhomes, they are fantastic resources. They're going to help you save a lot of money. But you guys, I personally think they are best suited to summer. We did give Campable a shot, but we were there in winter and we just found it was a little bit too cold. We wanted that constant power hookup for our heater and those lovely hot showers at the end of the day. If you aren't used to driving in winter weather conditions and you are visiting the South Island during winter, it is so very important that you take the time to learn about driving in those weather conditions. And that includes understanding things like black ice and of course knowing how to fit snow chains properly. Now you guys, New Zealand's border control is really strict, and that is coming from somebody who lives in Australia. So it is very important that you observe the biosecurity laws. You don't try to bring in any food items or wooden items, even things like if you have a wooden hairbrush, for example, that will be confiscated from you by border security. And if you are coming from somewhere where you have gotten your shoes all muddy or you've visited farmland, just make sure that all of your gear is really clean and free from any dirt or any potential hazards. New Zealand is a hub of activities and endless adventure, so of course I have to mention the importance of having travel insurance, you guys. Now, Matt and I actually hold an annual travel insurance policy with the guys at Southern Cross Travel Insurance, our video sponsor this week. We started getting an annual policy a few years ago because we just found that it saved us time and money, as well as giving us peace of mind on our travels. Honestly, there have been quite a few times where Matt and I have really needed travel insurance, and 2 of those happened in New Zealand, funnily enough. One was when we thought it would be a great idea to put our GoPro on the front of our motorhome and it fell off, and we and about 50 other cars ran over it. The second time was when Matt had this terrible anaphylactic asthma attack in Christchurch Airport right at security. He had to be carted off in an ambulance and I had to go with him, of course. Our bags got turfed. And in that moment, I just remember feeling so grateful that we did have travel insurance and I didn't have to worry about the costs, and I could just completely focus on Matt and make sure he was going to be okay. But travel insurance isn't all doom and gloom, you guys. For Matt and I, it just means we are able to travel and have fun without any stress or worry. Now, one tip I do want to share with you guys is that if you are visiting on winter and you are planning on enjoying some of those snowfields, you can definitely add ski and snowboard cover to your policy. Now, with that said, you are definitely going to want to pack your itinerary with loads of fun activities. Here are just a few of our favorites. For snow-based fun, you can visit the Remarkables and Coronet Peak from Queenstown. You can also check out Cardrona and Treble Cone from Wanaka, and of course, you can visit Mount Hutt, which is super close to Christchurch and a favorite among locals. You can get your adrenaline pumping with a skydive, jet boat ride, or bungee jump. You can also take a scenic flight in a helicopter, even ride the way up to a glacier, or do a vintage tiger moth flight like we did in Wanaka. Make the most of New Zealand's gorgeous scenery with a hike, which will allow you to immerse yourself in nature. Now, the South Island is renowned for producing incredible wine, including some pretty impeccable Pinot Noir, my favorite. So I would definitely recommend joining a guided wine tour, you guys. It just takes the worry out of it and you can enjoy all of the good food and amazing wine. Alright, you guys, have you ever thought about visiting New Zealand's South Island? Or have you visited before and you have some awesome recommendations? If you do, please share those in the comments below right now so we can check them out and add them to our next itinerary. If you are planning a trip to New Zealand, be it the North or South Islands, we have an abundance of great resources for you here and on the website. You might like to watch our entire New Zealand motorhome road trip series or our breakdown video where we share all of the costs involved with that. Finally, if you loved this video and you found it useful, you guys, be sure to book your next adventure to New Zealand or anywhere else in the world using our affiliate links below. We will earn a small commission at absolutely no extra cost to you. Alright you guys, and with that brings this week's episode to a close. I really hope you found this video useful. Now, if you don't already, be sure to subscribe right now and say hello in the comments below. I hope you have a great weekend and a great week ahead, and we will see you with a brand new episode next week. Love ya!